Welcome to our exploration of feminist theory, a critical framework for analyzing gender, power, and inequality. Feminist theory seeks to understand the nuanced and often complex dynamics that shape the experiences of individuals across different societies. At its core, this theoretical approach examines how gender intersects with various social structures and power relations to produce inequality. By studying feminist theory, we gain insight into the ways societal norms and power imbalances influence the opportunities and constraints placed upon individuals based on their gender. This understanding is crucial for identifying and challenging the systems that perpetuate gender-based disparities. Throughout this series, we will delve into various aspects of feminist theory, beginning with its historical roots, core concepts, and key applications. We will explore how these ideas illuminate the persistent issues of gender inequality that affect our world today. In doing so, we aim to provide a comprehensive perspective that empowers us to recognize and confront the intricate ways in which power and oppression manifest. As we embark on this journey, keep in mind that feminist theory is not just an academic exercise. It is a toolkit for creating real, meaningful change in the pursuit of a more equitable society. Now, let's begin by looking at the historical context that gave rise to feminist theory. To explore feminist theory, we must first delve into its historical context. Feminist theory, as we recognize it today, has roots that extend far back into history. It was shaped by pivotal events and milestones that spurred the demand for gender equality. The journey began with early writings in the 18th and 19th centuries, where thinkers like Mary Wollstonecraft authored foundational texts advocating for women's rights. The 20th century marked a significant period with suffrage movements sweeping across nations, culminating in the right to vote for women in many parts of the world. However, the quest for equality didn't stop there. The advent of second-wave feminism in the 1960s and 70s brought forth critical discourses on sexuality, family, and work, which were closely tied to feminist theory. Figures like Betty Friedan and Simone de Beauvoir challenged traditional gender roles and sparked global debates. These key historical milestones reveal how feminist theory has been a dynamic force, continually evolving to address the changing landscape of gender relations and power dynamics. As we move forward, you'll see how these historical foundations have set the stage for contemporary feminist thought and its application to modern societal challenges. At the core of feminist theory are concepts that challenge and critique the foundations of our social structures. Patriarchy, the system that privileges male dominance and subjugates women, forms the bedrock of this critical analysis. It perpetuates gender roles, defining and confining individuals based on societal expectations of masculinity and femininity. But feminist theory goes deeper, exploring intersectionality, the idea that various forms of discrimination like race, class, and sexuality intersect and compound the experience of oppression. Understanding these concepts helps us recognize the complex layers of injustice that feminists aim to dismantle. As we dive into feminist theory, we'll see how these foundational ideas shed light on the pervasive nature of gender inequality. With each layer we uncover, we inch closer to understanding the true scope of the problem. As we move forward, you'll see how these core concepts connect to real-world issues, illustrating the tangible impact of gender inequality across different societies and cultures. Let's continue this exploration and unravel the intricate tapestry of power, gender, and injustice. Gender inequality is a pervasive issue that transcends borders and cultures, impacting millions around the world. Let's delve into some global statistics to understand the breadth of this problem. In many countries, women earn significantly less than men, despite performing similar work. For instance, in Japan, women's earnings are roughly 75% of their male counterparts' earnings. In many regions, educational disparities still prevent girls from pursuing higher education. Consider that in parts of sub-Saharan Africa, the literacy rate among young women is significantly lower than that of young men. Cultural practices further exacerbate gender inequality. In some cultures, traditional gender roles continue to limit opportunities for women, dictating what they can and cannot do. In India, societal norms can restrict women's choices regarding education and employment. And in Saudi Arabia, recent reforms highlight both progress and ongoing challenges in achieving gender parity. These examples and statistics underscore that gender inequality is a global phenomenon, rooted in diverse cultural and societal practices. As we move forward, we will explore how power dynamics within society shape and perpetuate these inequalities. Stay with us as we continue our exploration into the complex layers of gender inequality. Power dynamics play a crucial role in shaping gender relations and perpetuating inequality. Understanding the power structures within society requires a deep dive into the ways these hierarchies are formed and maintained. These structures can be seen in various aspects of our daily lives, from corporate boardrooms to family households. The dynamics of who holds power and how it's wielded significantly affect gender relations. For instance, in many societies, historical power dynamics have granted men more autonomy and decision-making power, often at the expense of women. This entrenched disparity is not just a byproduct of outdated traditions, it is continuously reinforced by societal norms and institutional practices. Moreover, power dynamics are not limited to explicit authority figures. They manifest in subtle yet pervasive ways, like the social expectations of gender roles or the economic opportunities available to different genders. These underlying currents serve to sustain gender inequality, often unnoticed yet profoundly impactful. As we move forward, we'll delve into specific case studies that illuminate these power structures and their effects on gender relations. This analysis helps to uncover the roots of systemic inequality and sets the stage for exploring actionable strategies for change. Together, we'll uncover how altering power dynamics can lead to a more equitable society for all genders. The workplace is a critical area where gender inequality manifests in various forms. One of the most glaring examples is the gender pay gap. Despite similar qualifications and experience, women often earn less than their male counterparts. This disparity is not just a number. It reflects broader systemic imbalances that need addressing. Then there's the concept of the glass ceiling. Many women find themselves unable to rise above a certain level in their careers, regardless of their achievements. This invisible barrier is enforced by longstanding biases and institutional practices that favor men in leadership roles. Finally, we must confront the issue of sexual harassment. Women often face inappropriate behavior and even threats in their professional environments, making the workplace not just unequal, but unsafe. These forms of inequality are deeply ingrained, impacting lives and careers in profoundly negative ways. As we delve into these real-world examples, we see that gender inequality in the workplace is not an isolated issue. It's part of a larger narrative of power and discrimination. Through this exploration, we aim to understand the depth of the problem and seek avenues for substantial change. Stay with us as we uncover more layers in this critical discussion. In understanding discrimination, it's essential to recognize that different forms of prejudice don't exist in isolation. Intersectionality helps us unravel how these various forms of discrimination overlap and intersect. At its core, intersectionality is the idea that our identities are multifaceted, combining aspects like race, gender, sexuality, and class. For instance, the experience of a Black woman cannot be understood solely through the lens of racism or sexism alone. Rather, it encompasses the unique challenges at the intersection of both. Similarly, a disabled LGBTQ+ individual faces multiple layers of exclusion and bias. By exploring these intersecting identities, we gain a deeper insight into the complexity and breadth of inequality. As we move forward, the continued exploration of these layers will reveal not only the challenges, but also potential pathways to a more equitable society. Understanding intersectionality is not just crucial for academic discourse, but for fostering empathy and action in our daily lives, ensuring that everyone's voice is heard and valued. As we delve deeper into this critical framework, we pave the way for solutions that address the roots of inequality, rather than just the visible symptoms. To effectively address gender inequality, a multifaceted approach is essential. Policy changes play a crucial role in dismantling systemic barriers. Implementing gender-sensitive regulations can pave the way for a more equitable society. Education and awareness are equally vital. By incorporating gender studies into curriculums and promoting open discussions, we can cultivate an informed and conscious community. But structural changes and education need to be supported by strong advocacy and activism. Grassroots movements and activist voices have historically driven pivotal changes. Together, policy, education, and grassroots efforts form a triad that can challenge and transform gender dynamics. As we consider these solutions, let's remember that ending gender inequality is an ongoing journey, requiring collective efforts and sustained commitment. Moving forward, you'll see detailed real-world examples and successful feminist movements that illustrate the power of unified action. This journey doesn't end with understanding. It begins with each of us taking concrete steps towards equality. In our next segment, we will explore the significant milestones achieved by historical and contemporary feminist movements, showing us that change is not only possible, but within our reach. Throughout history, feminist movements have achieved significant milestones in the fight for gender equality. From the suffragettes who fought for women's right to vote to contemporary movements like #MeToo, these efforts have driven meaningful change. Historically, movements such as the women's liberation movement in the 1960s and 70s challenged societal norms and worked toward ending discriminatory practices. More recently, global initiatives like 1 Billion Rising have focused on raising awareness of gender-based violence. These movements have resulted in substantial legislative changes, increased representation in leadership roles, and a greater societal understanding of the need for gender equality. For instance, the feminist movement in Iceland led to the country being ranked #1 in gender equality for over a decade. Contemporary movements continue this legacy, advocating for intersectional approaches that address the overlapping forms of discrimination women face. The impact of these movements is profound, reminding us that collective efforts can transform societies. As we reflect on these achievements, let's consider the ongoing work needed to address gender inequality. Next, we'll explore how you can contribute to this critical cause and join the movement towards a more equitable future. In conclusion, understanding and addressing gender inequality is crucial for creating a more just and equitable society. Throughout this series, we've explored the fundamental concepts of feminist theory, delved into the historical context, and examined various dimensions of power dynamics and intersectionality. We've also looked at real-world examples, from global perspectives on inequality to specific case studies within workplaces. Now it's up to each of us to take action. Whether through advocating for policy changes, educating ourselves and others, or engaging in activism, every effort counts. The fight for gender equality is ongoing, and your contribution is invaluable. By working together, we can dismantle the structures that perpetuate inequality and pave the way for a fairer future. Thank you for joining us in this journey of exploration and understanding. We hope you feel inspired and empowered to make a difference. Remember, change begins with awareness, and awareness ignites action. As you step forward, carry these lessons with you and become a catalyst for change in your community and beyond.